What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your daily news report for Tuesday, October 11th. So we have some big news that's coming out today, but also some news that's coming out this week, and I want to address what that is, because a lot of that has to do with inflation. Inflation and the CPI report. We are expecting it might come in a little hot, but I got some numbers, have some estimates that I want to give you. We also know that Russia, according to reports, is looking for a way out of this war. They want to get out, but Vladimir Putin wants to save face. So, have some reports on that as well. And we're going to talk about Social Security. There is some good news for Social Security recipients. I want to explain what that is. I know yesterday I talked about how there's a lot of good news, but I didn't have anything for Social Security recipients. Today I do. It's not really new information, but again, it's good news, and the expectation is we're going to have, well, not the expectation, we will have an answer as to what the 2023 cost of living adjustment will be, and we'll know this Thursday. So let's get right down to it, and if you have any questions whatsoever, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. So let's get started with inflation. The expectation on Thursday is that the CPI report will come out and show us 8.1%. That's what we're expecting, 8.1%. That is what Bloomberg economists and even JP Morgan's economists are predicting. It will be at 8.1%. That is lower than where we are currently standing at 8.3. However, I want to be clear on something. Even if inflation comes in between 8.1 to 8.3%, again, which is our current inflation rate, we are going to see the stock market sell off. And we're going to see this because with as high as the Fed is raising rates, we need to see inflation come down much faster. Because if we don't, here's a problem. The Federal Reserve is going to raise rates even higher, which is going to push the stock market down even lower. So again, not the greatest news, but that's currently what we know. Here is something that you need to keep in mind, though. If we see inflation come in under 7.9%, which I don't see it's very likely, we could actually see the stock market rally for the next few days. That would be Thursday and Friday. But if we see the CPI report come in higher than 8.3%, according to JP Morgan, they say expect a stock market sell-off of about 5%. So, I bring this up for a few reasons. First, I get a lot of questions. Hey, should I be buying right now? There's some stocks are dropping, right? We saw Adobe. Kathy Wood ended up buying quite a bit of Adobe just the other day, right? Tesla's down. Should we be buying stocks? Well, I don't know. I will have a better answer for you on Thursday. But again, a lot of the reason I bring this up is because the Federal Reserve is waiting for this to see what happens. If we see inflation come in too hot, the Federal Reserve is expected to raise interest rates even faster. This will likely push the U.S. towards a recession. No matter what the White House wants to classify this as, it will be closer or further into a recession. And the good news with all this stuff is we are going to have an answer on inflation, which this is going to be a key moment and a key month for Social Security recipients. We are waiting for Thursday's reading to determine what the 2023 cost of living adjustment will actually be. Now, we are expecting, this is going to be good news for seniors. And I say this because right now the Senior Citizens League, they estimate that the cost of living adjustment will be 8.7% for 2023. That's a big boost from the 5.9% that we are currently sitting on. Now, other experts also anticipate that the cost of living adjustment is going to be between 8.6% and 8.9%. But the good news is not necessarily what it is going to be. The good news is that whatever it turns out to be will likely overcompensate Social Security recipients for what inflation turns out to be next year. Let me just float this by you really quick. The issue that we had this year in 2022 with Social Security benefits is that you received a 5.9% cost of living adjustment. Everyone thought, oh, that was pretty good. That's a big increase for 2022, right? Yes, this was a huge increase. And I think in 2021, it was like, what, 1 point something percent, 1.3 or 1.7 or whatever it was, right? So a huge jump. Here's the problem. It was a 5.9% cost of living adjustment for 2022. The issue was inflation was much higher than that throughout the entire year. There was no point in 2022 that we saw inflation under 5.9%. 5.9% was back in, for September? It was for September, okay? For September 2021, that is what we got. 5.9% was the CPIW. You know the issue? We started off the year in January with an 8.2% inflation rate. And yet, Social Security recipients got 5.9%. So that's the good news this time is it's flipped. Instead of you getting a lower cost of living adjustment and then inflation is higher, we are now going to get a higher cost of living adjustment. The expectation is inflation is going to come in lower. Okay? So you can get, let's say an 8.7% cost of living adjustment. You're going to have about $145 extra per month on average. But then inflation is going to be, let's say, 5 to 6%. Okay, you're actually going to get a little bit more money than you would have because of inflation. So again, that's some good news there. Something else I want to talk about really quick, and this does have some good news for the short term, is news broke yesterday that the third largest railroad union voted against their contract agreement. Now, this means that they're going to go back to work, but at the same time, they will consider going back to the negotiation table to renegotiate this contract. But if they don't, the plan is, as of right now, they will go on strike come November 19th. So how's this good news? Well, this is good news for a couple reasons. First, we have until November 19th. We have over a month. We have over a month until there's a potential strike. If there's a strike, that's when we're going to see the economy pretty much collapse to a loss about $2 to $3 billion a day. It's going to be devastating. But here's what I can tell you. The good news is that that's just the third largest railroad union. They actually voted against it. 57% voted no, 43% voted yes. Only 12,000 people voted out of the 23,000. So there's a lot of room here that they could potentially agree to this in the near future. So again, don't count this railroad union out just yet. Now, if you're wondering why a strike will not occur until November 19th, well, there's a couple things you need to understand. The first one is the votes for the two largest railroad unions. These will not even be counted, or the votes aren't even coming in until November 17th. Then they will count them. So the expectation is we have until the end of November before they decide whether they go on strike or not. So this means between now and then, anything could happen. But the good news is they are expecting, and I talked to multiple people that work for the railroads and family members of people who work for the railroads as well. They're saying they do expect they will come to an agreement because there's just too much on the line at this moment. And let's talk about some other good news as well. We actually heard this morning that the Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, says that Moscow is actually open to the idea of talking with the West on the Ukraine war, but he says he has yet to receive any serious proposal to negotiate. Now, the United States says, yeah, we've sent proposals, but Russians are saying, no, we haven't received anything. But here's what you need to understand. The reason why Russia is waiting on a proposal from the West is because of what President Biden said last week. That President Biden he knows that Vladimir Putin is looking for an off-ramp. How does he get out of this? He can't just walk away. He can't just leave military equipment in Ukraine, walk away with whatever they got now. The reason why the West must submit a proposal first, and it has to be a publicly submitted proposal, is because Vladimir Putin doesn't want to look like he's trying to find a way out. He doesn't want to look weak. So this becomes a problem, and this is just trying to save face here. And again, the United States knows that. I think most of the world knows Vladimir Putin can't just walk away. He will look weak, and it will be trouble for him in Russia. So that's what we know this time. Again, that is good news, but we will see what happens moving forward. So that's what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise, I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates. Again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.